Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, even for those that are listening. This is Dr. Wynette Turner with Way Turner Podcast. And I am so excited today. I just want to tell you a little bit about our podcast. So, our podcast is designed to motivate persons toward their purpose, to help them to be transformative in their life. So we do that through coaching, we do that through counseling, as well as motivational interviews with people in our community that are having a major impact. And so, with that said, I have Dr. Ola Abbott here with me today, and I am so excited that she is here. I just want to tell you a little bit about her. There is a lot of just some really good nuggets about her. So I just want to share a few. And she is originally from Champaign, Illinois, and now she resides here in San Antonio. Yes, to San Antonio. And so she exemplifies just a level of perseverance with an unwavering commitment to helping others and helping our community at large. She has a dual career, one as a doctor of physical therapy, as well as being a realtor with Dash Realty. And of course, she is an entrepreneur within her own right. She is dedicated to empowering others, individuals, and transforming communities through her expertise, various levels of expertise. And so we are so appreciative of having her here. I cannot I cannot go without saying she is an All-American collegiate track and field athlete who has competed for over a decade. And she culminated her career by participating in the 2012 Olympic Games. And this is just a testament to not only her integrity, her level of discipline, and commitment. So welcome, Dr. Ola Abbott. We are so excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for that warm welcome. And congratulations on your podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing all the episodes and what you have in store with it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate you agreeing to interview. And as we talked even before the podcast, I told you immediately what came to mind for me was resilience. Even in, just your presentation and just what I know about you. And so that was so inspiring to actually hear a little bit about your story, and it's like, oh, okay, yes, that does really fit. Oh my goodness, yes, fits perfectly. So I want to start by just giving you an opportunity. So can you tell us about your experience in overcoming obstacles even while you were preparing for the Olympic Games? And please, you don't have to start there, you start wherever you like, and we are here listening.
Okay. I mean, I would say just even as a young girl, I've always been a goal setter. I'm not sure where I got it from, but I've always been a goal setter. At 16 years old, I would ride around looking at homes. So I kind of knew one day I want to be a realtor. And in my high school yearbook, I wrote aspires to be a physical therapist. So that's written in ink in my high school yearbook. So I've just kind of always been a goal setter. I started running at the age of 12, and from then on, I said, I want to make it to the Olympics one day. I didn't know it would take as long as it did for me to get there, but once I made that goal, I was determined to do it. So, of course, I competed since 12. I got a full track and field scholarship to the University of North Carolina, where I graduated. And that was my first year. I actually went to the Olympic trials. My first year was while I was still in college in 2001. I went again in 2004. I went again in 2008. And then in 2008, about 2 months into my training, I received a call from my parents' country, which is Sierra Leone, West Africa. This whole time I had been competing for the US. I get a phone call 2 months prior to the Olympics as I'm preparing for the U.S. Olympic trials, and it's my Sierra Leone embassy calling saying, we would like you to compete for our country. You already have the Olympic standard, and you have a free trip to go and compete for the United States since both of your parents are Sierra Leone citizens. Sierra Leone has dual citizenship. So I was like, oh my God, like, of course, I was just in shock. I was excited. That changed my entire, preparation because now I was going to be competing for my parents' country. So, I got, shifted my mind into, preparing for that. And about 2 weeks before I was prepared to go, I received a call and stating that they had decided to take somebody else that was a local athlete there in Sierra Leone. So of course that was, heartbreaking, devastating because I think I was 28 at the time. So I was thinking, okay, this is going to be my last year. I'm going to do this and then I'm going to move on with life. There are other goals that I want to focus on. But of course, I still just had that desire, that passion to, fulfill my dreams of competing in the Olympics. So I continued to train. I trained for 4 more years
Okay.
after
Stay right
that.
there, Dr. Ola. So I mean, because that's that's very, it's like, okay, I get this news that I'm preparing, I have this momentum going and I'm preparing, and then I get this news that, okay, well, no, it's not going to happen right now.
Right.
And so tell me, and then I know you, as you're sharing with us, you waited and were preparing even for a game that was going to happen 4 years later. So
Amen.
tell us about that because I think that that can really help some individuals who are listening, to get this news and now I have to wait 4 more years. And so tell me how you coped with, just that disappointment and, getting over that disappointment.
It was definitely very tough, because I really thought that this was it. I was finally going to have my opportunity, but, thank goodness I have, very supportive family, very supportive friends. You know, I guess the embassy was, very apologetic. It was kind of some politics that went into it that they decided to choose a local athlete, but they also begged me to continue to compete, and they wanted me to compete for them in upcoming events because there are also world championships and other events that are within the time frame of when the next Olympics were. So they kind of convinced me to just continue to compete and ensured me that at the next games that I would be there. So it was tough, but I still just had that desire to compete and that desire to be in the Olympics, and I didn't want to give up like that.
Okay, okay. So I hear that drive, that just that determination and that drive. And I heard family support. So having the support of your family, the drive within yourself to continue to just push toward that goal. And I would venture to say there had to be some faith in there that.
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely. A lot of faith. Definitely a lot of faith. I mean, I don't know how anyone can survive without faith, without God, without being able to pray and to believe that someone hears your prayers and is there with you and there to support you. So definitely. Yes, I pray with everything I do, even with athletics. Some people may think it's silly, but like in long jump, we have a mark that we put down, and on my mark, I would always put, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I always put that on my mark, and I would always say it right before I ran down the runway. So yes, definitely my spiritual life definitely helped me to get through that as well.
I hear, as you're, talking about the mark. And so, and I know your event was the long jump. You
Yeah.
shared that with me. Your event was the long jump. And so can you talk a little bit how about your preparation for that? I know you've given us, the spiritual aspect or some portion of it. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Mhm. Well, I actually was first going to grad school, which was, of course, that was very challenging. A 3-year doctorate of physical therapy program at Duke University while I was training for the Olympics. So after going to, grad school all day, then I would go to practice. I was still training at University of North Carolina at that time. After I graduated, I moved to from North Carolina to Texas to just train with a higher level coach. So I started training at Rice University, but yet still working full time as a physical therapist and going to track practice after working all day long, then going to track practice. And I did that for about 6 years working full time and training for the Olympics. So it was definitely tough, challenging, but I was fortunate to have, a great job and flexibility in order to do both and to travel while I competed.
Yeah. And I hear, just the level, that commitment to, because I'm sure some days you leave work and you're tired.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was training in Houston when it's about 101, 10, 100 degrees some days, and it would be so hot and so tiring. But, I was just still determined to do it. So I would just push through even those days where I didn't feel like it. I would just push through because I just kept on, thinking about what the end goal was.
Yeah, I think that's really that's very powerful to be, to really look at where you want to be, right? And I know you talked about even being a young girl and having these, these things that you want to do, realty, you want to compete, and so just being very motivated and determined in those spaces, even with the challenges or the delays, right? The delays of having to wait, and then working full time, school full time,
Yeah,
and getting prepared for the Olympics.
right.
That sounds absolutely amazing to be able to do all of, all having all of those pieces kind of moving simultaneously.
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge. It was definitely a challenge. When you say it and I listen to you saying it, I'm like, man, I did that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and but what an inspiration that is. So tell me, what is your, because you talk about family and you talk about support in those places, and so what would you say has been something that just kind of rings in your ears when you are, preparing and you're moving toward these goals, these dynamic goals?
Uh-huh. Definitely just I always wanted to be an example, for others. I wanted to be someone that people could look at as a role model, in all aspects of my life, whether it was spiritually, with my athletic goals, with my careers, both as a physical therapist and a realtor. I think probably sometimes I put too much pressure on myself, to just be 100% at everything. But I think it's just in my nature. So just always wanting to, set an example and be a light to others.
Yeah. Yes, so powerful. And I hear the mentorship, the role model, modeling that behavior, and just the inspiration that you're able to give to others as they are moving through their own life journeys and their challenges. And I hear, really as I stated before, the resiliency, but also just being able to cope, right? To effectively cope
Yeah.
with what's happening as you were moving through. And I saw, and you shared a big part of that is just your faith
Hmm.
and leaning on God's word. What else do you think has helped you to cope with some challenges?
I think I just naturally have a very, people tell me this all the time. They're like, you're so calm. Like, do you get mad? Do you ever get mad? So I've just always had the ability to kind of remain calm in stressful situations, not to lash out at people, kind of just to deal with life, what you know, whatever with whatever life throws you. I kind of just deal with it in a calm manner. Sometimes, just, holding things in and reflecting before I speak and just always trying to, I think I always think of people, how people receive what I say or receive, my actions before I do them. So I think just my calm nature has definitely helped me to cope and get through some of the things I've gone through because I know some people would be like, "How did you do that?" It's just kind of part of my nature. They're like, "Are you always this calm?" Yeah, this is kind of me. I'm like this all the time. So I think that definitely helps in life.
I heard the, calmness, but I also heard in the midst of that, just being very mindful of
Yeah,
what's happening. And, you even talked about your communication with others and
yeah,
being very mindful about what's happening with you and tonation and just communicating with
yeah,
others in that calm space.
yeah,
Is what I heard as well,
yeah,
in addition to your faith.
yeah.
Later in life, you faced another major challenge. Can you talk about that challenge to our listeners that may have had a similar experience?
Yeah. So, of course, by the time I went to the Olympics, I was 33 years old. I actually had met my husband about a year before that, and we actually got married a month before I went to the Olympic Games. I think he wanted to make sure I didn't meet anybody there. So we got married about a month before I went to the Olympic Games, and my goal was, okay, I'm going to compete in these games. And then I'm going to have some children. That was always also a desire of mine was to be a mother. So, I came back from the Olympic Games. They were begging me to, still compete another year. And I was like, no, I've done this for about 10 years. I'm ready to move on to other things. We were trying to get pregnant. I think it was about a year. I was 33 at the time. So I said, you know what, we haven't gotten pregnant. Let's go to a fertility clinic so we can, find out what's going on. So it wasn't until that time that I found out that I had a pituitary tumor in my brain, which was the reason why I couldn't get pregnant. So we ended up I having have had to take some medication in order to just normalize my hormones, so that I could get pregnant. So I did, finally get pregnant about a year after us being married, and about 2 months after that having a miscarriage. So being excited about finally getting pregnant and then having a miscarriage. And I remember that was on January 9th of 2014. But on January 9th of 2015, on the same day I delivered my first daughter, which is Mackenzie. So it was just a blessing. And just to reflect on how that happened, how one of the saddest days of my life became, one of the best days of my life.
Yeah, that is, it's, I hear just the redemption in that.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I hear. I
Yeah.
hear redemption and being able to, face this challenge um, and still the resiliency and the redemption in it, right? The
Right. Right.
resiliency. And so that is, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that
No
with
problem. I think it's
us.
it's an issue that, a lot of women kind of may have had a stigma about it or, are too embarrassed, but so many women have gone through that. And even after having my daughter, we wanted to try again for another child. And after that, end up having an ectopic pregnancy after that, after having my first child, which was, having to have emergency surgery because the embryo implanted in my fallopian tube. So I went in for an appointment and ended up going into emergency surgery that same day. But even after that, I still was able to have another child. So just, keeping the faith and believing if God said it's so, then it is so. So just believing and not giving up. And if you feel like if that's a goal of yours, then, keep reaching for it, keep praying about it and believing God will do it.
Yes. Well, I thank you for sharing that with our audience, just to encourage those who may be experiencing some infertility, and that, being able to come out and have your children and have two beautiful daughters. I know
Yeah,
you have two beautiful
yeah,
daughters, so
yeah. I do.
such an amazing amazing story, and so thankful that you are willing
Yeah,
to share, and just to be vulnerable in your sharing your story with us. So
yeah,
tell
yeah.
me, can you speak to our young people? So speak to our young people, maybe that are aspiring athletes, that are even aspiring entrepreneurs. What would you share with them?
I would say, you know what? It is great to plan. It's great to have a plan, but you just have to realize that life is going to happen and it's not going to happen always how you planned it. So you just have to keep pushing and keep, pressing towards those goals you have. Even when, life throws curveballs, you just have to keep going. If that's something that is in your heart that you desire to do, then, just keep going. Don't be afraid to dream big. Don't let anyone stunt your dreams. If you feel like you can be a lawyer, a doctor, a professional athlete, whatever it is, just keep the faith, and keep on reaching towards your goals.
Yeah. I hear, as I'm listening to you, I hear just the, being very truthful and honest with yourself, and being very committed to what it is that you're wanting,
Hmm.
and striving for that. And if you are, if you're a believer, then you
Yeah.
have that extra push that's helping you to achieve that goal. And so I heard just the, being authentic with yourself, right? So really pushing toward whatever your goal is. And that's what I heard as you were speaking. And I think you're a wonderful testament to that, just pushing toward your goals, and
Yeah.
even knowing what you wanted, even as a young girl, and still just, moving toward that place, just continuing to strive and move toward that place. What
Mhm.
are three lessons that you would share with our listeners? Three lessons that you.
I would say, just life is gonna get hard. There are definitely gonna be challenges along the way. Don't give up. Don't be afraid to dream big. I feel like sometimes as I achieve those big things, I kind of got in maybe a stage of kind of being complacent, like, okay, well, I've done good. But I think you should never stop achieving. You should always have goals. You should always have something that you're reaching for. And now as I've joined this group of women, it's called a Circle of 10. It's a group of 10 women across the country who've been on a journey for 12 months for professional and spiritual growth. It's allowed me to, continue to dream big and not to ever settle.
Yes, yes. So I heard the three things I heard in that was, one, don't give up, and to continue to dream big and to press toward new goals is what I heard in
Yes.
that. And um so that is, I think that those are really great three key things that you embodied, right? So, and it sounds like continuing that momentum, even with the group.
Yeah.
So that sounds so exciting. I have so enjoyed our time together.
Right.
Any parting words that you would like to share with the audience? Anything else that maybe we've not touched on today that you'd like them to know?
I don't think so. I would just say, you know what, if you have faith, if you're someone that is spiritual, I would say just, place God in everything you do, whether it's your athletics, whether it's your health, your diet, your professional goals. It's so much easier when you're able to put God first and allow him to direct your path. I know even sometimes when I'm struggling with something or an issue, I'm like, did I pray about that? And I'm like, no, I didn't pray about that. Let me pray about it. And then as soon as you pray about it, it's like, oh, why didn't I do that earlier? So, just remembering to try to put God first in everything that you do.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Abbott. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being able to share with the audience. Thank you for being vulnerable with this audience and just sharing some challenges that you faced and how you've been able to overcome those challenges. We're so grateful to you, grateful to your model, to your image, and being able to just share with us today. Just to recap, Dr. Abbott talked about, not giving up. She talked about dreaming big. She talked about pressing toward your goals and even establishing new goals, and just the importance of, being true to yourself and continuing to press toward whatever you feel that has been placed in your heart in order to achieve those things. And so I just want to encourage the audience as they, to be able to embody and embrace these principles that Dr. Abbott shared with us today. Don't give up. One thing we want you to is to not give up, no matter what challenges you're facing, and recognizing, even as Dr. Abbott shared, challenges are going to come. So that's the pretty much the norm. Challenges are going to come. And so it's how we are able to face those challenges and move past those challenges and, even leaping over the challenges that are before us and continuing to dream big and not settling for anything less than the best for yourself, and then pressing toward new goals that you may have in life. So I want to encourage you listeners to do just that, to not give up, to dream big, and to continue to press toward new goals that you may be having. And so also, I just want to share with our guests, there may be someone that that may need this message. And so I just want to encourage you to share the link to this podcast, share the link to those who may be facing challenges, young people as well as people who are more mature in their life, to be able to share this with them. Also, I'm going to invite you to subscribe as well as to leave your reviews and once again, just to share this podcast. I believe that, we can read words, but, the real life testimonies that we give and encouraging words that we're able to share with one another, those are the things that really change our lives and change what we're going through. And so again, I just so encourage you to share this link to this podcast. Thank you so much again for listening, listeners. Thank you, Dr. Ola, for your time today. I will sign out now. God bless you all. See you soon. Bye-bye.